Okay, we should have folded our foldable in class, but in case you missed how to fold your foldable, um, what we did was start with the sheet with it being long, and we just folded it in half on a hamburger style. Okay, so I just folded it in half, and then I opened it up, and all I did was take the flaps and folded them to the middle, and folded it to the middle, and then they met there. Okay, so again, we folded the paper in half like this. We opened it up, and then we folded each of the flaps into the middle. Okay, now you're going to label the flaps just like how you see. So cell membrane is the fence gate, the vacuole is the storage bag, and in green you're going to write bigger implants. Cytoplasm is the jelly. You're going to write cell wall in green for plants, and it's the bones. Mitochondrion, powerhouse. And then chloroplast, you write in green because it's a plant cell again, and it's a green kitchen. Then you're going to write the nucleus is the brain, and this one over here will be cell organelles. Okay, so we're going to go through each one. Anything that has green on it is in a plant cell. Why this one has green on it, it is found both in the plant and animal cell, but it is larger in the plant, and these two organelles are just found in the plant. All right, so you should also have a picture. So our pictures are going to be glued in on this sheet. Okay, so you might have to cut yours down a little bit, but we're going to glue it in the middle. So go ahead and glue yours. And then on, I think my glue stick. My glue stick is not working, so I will not glue mine in, but yours needs to be glued in on this back sheet. And then each of the flaps, we're going to have the functions written behind the organelle part. Okay, so that flap is function and that flap is function. The back is your picture. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one, the cell membrane. Okay, so we're going to find it in our picture first. Both the plant and animal cell have it. So the cell membrane, and this one is the easiest one to find first. So cell membrane. Okay, and if you don't know how to spell it, you can go back to your flap. And on the plant cell, it is right here. Okay, so go ahead and make sure you label both. Now, when we look at our flap, cell membrane is the top right. It is called the fence gate. And the function of the cell membrane forms a thin protective covering. Okay, so you're going to write that for the function. Forms a thin protective covering for both the plant and animal cell. All right, the next one. Let's look back at our flap. We're going to be looking for the cytoplasm. So if I was to look here in this open space, I want to make sure there's nothing on it there. There it is. So I'm going to make sure I spell it right. CYTOPLASM. All right, and then here in the animals, or the plant cell above, it looks like it's going to be that one that's pointing there. Okay. Oops, we forgot to label our cells, so let's make sure we do that now. Animal, plant. Remember, both of these are eukaryotic cells, or eukaryotes. And if we look back here, it is nicknamed the jelly. So it tells us in its nickname kind of the functions. So here, remember, it's the second one. So I'm going to write my function right here in this box. Is the liquid inside cells which contains organelles. So I'm going to start with that. Liquid inside cells that contain the organelles. Okay? We also need to make one other little note, and we're going to put that it contains foods, proteins, and other chemicals. So it contains food, proteins, and other chemicals. All right, so we have 2 functions and 2 organelles labeled on our plant and animal cells. So the mitochondrion, sometimes you will see it as mitochondria, and sometimes it will be mitochondrion. And it just means one versus more than one. It is the powerhouse. So when we think about the powerhouse and what its job is, power companies give us energy. So the powerhouse breaks down sugar using oxygen to produce energy. So it breaks down sugar using oxygen to produce energy. Okay. So the other part we should add is the more active, more mitochondria. Now we heard that in our video the other day, that the more active the cell is, or the person, the more mitochondria there would be in that cell. Okay? So, I forgot to label where they are, but they are the ones that kind of look like they have a maze inside of it. That's what I always think about. It kind of looks like it has a maze inside of it. So, here we go. Okay. Now in our plant one, let's find the one that looks the same. This one looks like it has the maize in it right there. So here we go. mitochondria. All right. So we have those both labeled. We have those back over here. So let's go with the last one on this side. The nucleus, the brain. Okay, so let's find that in the picture. Okay, it's going to be the big circle in the middle. And we're just gonna, even though there's not really a blank here, we're just gonna write it. Now, if it helps you to have the nicknames written beside it, please do that. I will not be doing that, but you can definitely add those in if that will help you, because you do need to remember their functions. The more times you see it, the better it is. And I'm going to say that one looks like it's pointing to it, so we're going to call this one the nucleus. Okay, so let's get this last one written down. Sorry. What I want to say about this one is it holds the DNA. And remember, DNA is made up of chromosomes. That is our genetic material. Okay, so all DNA chromosomes are all genetic material. Okay, the other thing that we want to add is it tells the cell how to function. It's like the instructions. And reproduce. Oops, sorry, misspelled there. Reproduce. Okay, so the nucleus has the DNA, the chromosomes make up the DNA. Remember, those are our genetic materials that tell us what we look like, how we act. Okay, it also tells the cell how to function, its job, and how to reproduce. And that's an R for reproduce. Okay, and we found it in both of our cells. All right, we're gonna get started on the other side of our foldable here. So vacuole is in both cells. And remember, in the plant cell, we talked about it has a big central vacuole. So it's really easy to find in the plant cell, and it's a vacuole. Let me make sure I'm spelling this right. Okay. And we said it was a central in the plant, which means that there's one big one. Okay, here in ours, it would be right that tiny little dot right there. And you can see that this one has another one, but it's right there. All right. So for the vacuole, remember it's bigger in plants. It's the storage bag. So you need to remember that it's the storage bag. So that tells us that it's going to carry something. It's going to have something inside of it. So we're going to write, it is empty sacks that contain water, food, and waste. Okay? It stores things until we need it. Or removed. So empty sacks that contain water, food, and waste stores things until needed or removed. Okay? So we already found the vacuole, and we have our notes about what it does. The cell wall, remember we're only going to find this in the plant. So let's quickly find that. The cell wall is on the outside of the cell membrane. And what we talked about in my class was the walls in a building make us have the room or the building rectangular shape. So the cell wall for the plant cell acts as the bones, but it also gives it its shape. Okay, so that should help you remember that the plant cell is rectangle, not round. So we will not find the cell wall down here in the plant or the animal cell. Okay, so the cell wall, the note we're going to make or write about it is a tough coating found just outside the cell membrane. Tough coating means that it surrounds it. Found outside of the cell membrane. It supports the cell and makes it rigid. Rigid means strong. A box would be rigid. I know it's getting kind of dark. All right. So the next one, cell wall, chloroplast is the green kitchen. So again, this is just found in the plant. That's why it's green. So if we go here, we're going to be looking for just the structure. Looks like this line right here. We're looking for the ones with the dots on it, so it's this one. CHOLOROPLASTS or chloroplast. Remember, on our flap, it was the third box down, so we're gonna write in the third box down underneath the cell wall, right here, the green kitchen uses energy from the sun to make sugar for the mitochondria. So remember, this is where photosynthesis occurs. Okay. Uses energy from the sun to make sugar. It contains chlorophyll. That's what makes it green. Okay, and our last note that we're going to write down is what organelles are. So the last one said organelles, cell organelles. So organelles are just little organs. They're the parts of the cell. And have specific duties. I said duties. Okay, so little organs, parts of the cell, and have specific duties. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I'm sorry, it's starting to get dark at my house. So that is all that we're going to write for now. We will be coloring them in. I know there's some blanks here because you are not required to know all the parts of the cells this year. So we're just going to focus on the ones that the state says we need to know in 7th grade. So the rest of the other ones you might hear about in class. We might talk briefly, but you do not need to memorize them for your test. Okay? Make sure that you have your name on it. I would put it probably back here would be a place to put your name for your foldable. We will be picking them up, or you will be turning them in at the end of class. All right. Thank you.